Hello, everyone. Today is Sunday, June the 26th, recording out of the nation's capital. You are now tuned into PopGlitz Radio, Season 2. I'm your host, JaVonni Brustow, the media mogul, bringing the latest in pop culture and entertainment. Here with me today is Washington business consultant and a personal friend of mine, Patrice Lancaster, Lancaster Consulting. Back again. Welcome back to the show, Patrice.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I have to say that the last week when we did the show, I think that I behaved myself pretty good considering the fact that Patrice is recently in ministry. So that's just an added little bit of pressure, to kind of watch my behavior. So anyway, I don't think I did so bad last week. I don't recall any excessive profanities or anything.
I think I was the only person that used profanity the last time when we were talking about what was it? The stimulus. When I said I wasn't stimulated, damn it.
Yeah, that's still not so bad compared to a little bit of what I've been accustomed to. But yeah, I did remember that. I was like, oh Lord, I have a minister on. Even though we've been friends for so long, still.
I'm not a minister.
Okay. Closing.
Moving towards it.
Probably just a little more saved than I. Anyway, getting started. It's been nearly 2 weeks ago today that the horrific shooting of 100 people occurred in Orlando's Club Post. But fret not, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch has our back. She stood before the American people with a briar patch sitting on top of her head, straight from Burr Rabbit and the Tar Baby, with the nerve to tell us that the correct way to respond to terrorism is with compassion, unity, and love. Patrice, I would like to take this opportunity to plan a trip to the U.S. Department of Justice to take everyone out for a lovely afternoon of electroshock, just to get them all back on track. Now, I don't know what happened here, but I think when Loretta Lynch combed her hair with one of those Black Power picks that morning, she might have stabbed her brain. Obama set her up to say that. First of all, and this was from you, I have never heard of an attorney using emotion to rule a case. And with that being said, I would not trust that woman to do shit. Okay. All right. Profanity number one. We'll try and leave it there.
Ding. I'll say ding. Ding.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That was a very interesting statement. I don't even know if I don't even think I saw Democrats who kind of agreed with that. Her own party that was really towing the line of safety just a little bit too hard.
Let me just tell you something. If one of my babies were killed by a terrorist or killed because of the lack of protections by my government, and a person that was supposed to ensure justice, that's a member of the, I guess, is she a member of the executive branch? But she is a judicial arm, a part of the judicial arm of the country, told me that there would be no justice for my child because all I should be concerned about with the loss of my baby was compassion, love, and unity. We would have a serious issue. We would have a very serious issue because
I believe that.
One of my favorite sayings is if you need genuine hugs, go to church. But when you're in a place of business and I consider justice a part of doing business. I really do, because in order for people to receive what is fair or to negotiate, the Bible talks about fair weights and measures. In order to administrate fair weights and measures, sometimes the penalty has to equal the severity of the crime, and that's very difficult to even do that for someone that's accused of a terrorist attack or killing scores of people. Just one person.
and that's why I believe in
love. To say compassion and love, it's just unfathomable that is the paradigm on dealing with killers, because in that same compassionate and love type of mindset, when you go into, I'll keep saying the urban areas because it's cute, but I'm really saying black areas where people might have sold nickel bags of weed to 3 people and are sitting in jail serving lifetime sentences. Where's the compassion, love, and unity in that? I've never heard her or Obama say anything about those types of things and the types of illegalities and the unfair weights and measures as far as the criminalization of narcotics and drugs and how they unfairly targeted. I mean, we have the numbers, we have the facts. It just is what it is. Targeted minorities or people that earn less money. So don't come to me with that compassion and love piece unless it's holistic, meaning unless you mean for everybody, or like they say, for everybody.
Right. I mean, I have to say, I feel like this administration has pivoted a little bit in regards to, the small amounts of, marijuana sales. I think that Obama had just pardoned just a small number of people. And, I mean, the discussion's been on the table. Whether it's really gone anywhere is a different story. But, I mean, the conversation's kind of been had, at least with Bernie and Hillary. But that's...
Right, we had a conversation, but my point is, comparing somebody selling somebody a nickel bag of marijuana to somebody going into a nightclub killing 50 people, and the response being, let's just have compassion, love, and unity. Are you nuts?
No, as I recall, yeah, I mean, I'm always mentioning about people being revisionist historians in regards to Bush's time in office. I am not an emotional person, as I said, and I watched planes hit the Twin Towers in high school. They were in 9th, 10th grade, and 9th grade, I think, and I was sitting there kind of, with a blank look on my face. I had a teacher who was crying. I didn't really know what that meant. Obviously, that was terrible. I mean, I was, 14 or whatever, so, registering things the same. But I don't recall anyone talking about having compassion at all in that time period. In fact, everyone was more concerned about, let's get them, let's go in. They wanted reaction. They wanted something blown up. I mean, even one of my liberal friends just commented on my page, Facebook page, after the nightclub shooting. He said, you know what, I think we should just go back to George Bush's days of when we started blowing shit up. And then people would be afraid of us. It would, nobody would want to mess with us then. No, that's extreme. You can't just randomly bomb things, i.e., Bill Clinton and the aspirin factory, because you can, but you get the point. Even they understand that. That was a completely ridiculous response.
Let me tell you, I remember I was looking at TV at the time, and a news alert came on, and it showed both the Twin Towers when the planes first hit it, and then it showed a couple minutes later as the building collapsed, and all I know is that the overwhelming sadness that I felt, because my best friend was employed at the Pentagon, in the Pentagon at that time when the plane flew into that building, and all I could do while I was I didn't even wait for a taxi. I just got up and left the house, went and got my child, and brought him home, and was on the phone calling to make sure my best friend was okay and that somebody had spoken with her. But in those weeks after, even riding on Metro, because on the Metro that I would ride, the train, you could see where the plane had actually hit the building, and I just felt so overwhelmingly sad. But like almost a month after that, just because I saw, you remember the pictures of the people jumping out of the building and things like that. And you mean to tell me that the response to something like that is compassion, love, and unity? Like, are you crazy?
I think that even George Bush had made some statements in regards to not stigmatizing Muslims,
right.
But
you don't have to stigmatize Muslims, but then you don't do a sit-in for a no-fly list. I mean, you know what I mean? These people on the no-fly, I mean, I know I'm not stating specifically why they were doing the sit-in.
That was a big part of it, though.
Yeah, but my thing is, all right, we know that they're on the no-fly list, so why don't we do something about the 700,000 visa overstays that we have? Why don't we? I would have appreciated her saying even doing something small.
And that part almost never gets discussed, and from both sides, and it is ridiculous. It's angering. Like they mentioned that there needs to be some type of some complicated technical thing that needs to be done, and whenever it comes up, it's just like, oh, this system over there needs to be fixed somewhere else. But let's talk about assault rifles and the no-fly zone again. Which, by the way, I'm trying to think, what was the black senator who, the main one who was barking about this, the one who looks like the Cyclops with the melting face. What is his name? Yeah, he was on the no-fly zone. He was on that list. I see him for
every week too, and I'm just every time I see him, I'm still surprised that he's still active in Congress and things, because he's pretty elderly. But I guess when you love that type of work, you find the energy to do it. But I see him every.
You know how many days that they've been working this month? I mean, I don't remember what it was, but I know it was under 2 weeks. I mean, was it 9 days, 10, something like that? I mean, so hey, you can get up for that.
He's over. He can easily be over 70 and maybe 80, maybe. So I was surprised to see him do that. I understand. Maybe he wants to go out with a blaze of glory, and I mean, hey, fine. But let's stay focused. Let's stay focused on what we need to do really in this country to protect our people. Or if you're not going to address the problem, let's address another problem and address it effectively. But I do not like the distractions to people's personal interests, or using these things as a fundraising mechanism, taking advantage of people's pain.
Absolutely. I mean, they broke every possible rule. There's no recording, while they're in session. So, they were recording and live streaming on Facebook and live streaming on Periscope.
I don't have a problem with civil disobedience. That's what the country was built on. I don't have a problem with civil disobedience at all. But the end goal, that's my issue. Who are the thinkers? Where are the philosophers that are behind these movements that really help to clarify the why of why we are doing these things? And that's what the people have lost.
Well, look at the very premise of it. Go against the people having guns to no-fly zones. He himself, which is I brought him up, was on the list, if he's not still there forever, for several years. And has had dozens of times that he wasn't able to get on a plane, and where his own work was put on hold. So you kind of forgot to mention that. And it was without reason, and a number of people in Congress have experienced the same thing.
How many people do you think that are on the no-fly list go into a local gunnery? I don't know if I'm using the correct term, and purchase assault rifles?
Probably not many.
Go ahead.
Probably not many. I mean, these are people who are placed on the list who were not informed how they were placed on it. There's no public rules on how you get on said list. So many of them who probably object to liberal policies are the ones who end up on it. I mean, we know a lot of journalists.
You never know who's on that list.
Yeah, it's not public. No one knows.
Let me ask you.
That's what the argument is against. You can't just have a bureaucrat decide who is dangerous and put them on a list, and it's up to you to fight, possibly get an attorney to get off of it. You don't just pick and choose who has constitutional rights.
Yeah, but we have to have.
Or if we're going to discuss, this within reason, at least have it, some public notice of how you get on this list, so that if you find yourself on it, what did I do?
No, I'm not. I don't know if I'm much in agreement with that, because it could affect them if they were, providing for children and things like that, providing for families legally, working, and they are just being watched, because that's the purpose of the list, to watch what they're doing. So why isn't something already in place, to not allow them to buy guns? That's crazy to me. And Ryan really, in my opinion, he botched this. He botched the whole thing, because he could have had a conversation to clarify the safety of the American people being the main point. And I don't think that he did that. He was more concerned about the civil disobedience piece and them kind of making a fool of him instead of him redirecting them. That's what leadership does. Redirect them to what the point is of why we're here today.
Yeah, it definitely worked in the favor of the sitting in Democrats, because yes, and I'm subscribed to many of these email lists, and believe me, they were firing those things off for the entire 25 hours. They were not playing. Now, in the past, what is her name? Pelosi. They had a similar situation. I think it was Republicans who were sitting in, and she cut the lights off, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, she moved swiftly.
So, hey, it didn't have to be all that. And if you knew that this was a fundraising mechanism, I think he should have done the same thing. But I think he was just more concerned about kind of getting through it, because they were going to be on recess. But, hey, even if you see you're not going to get anywhere, I say you should have done the same thing. Cut the lights off. Everybody.
Do you think that people on the no-fly? Do you think people on the no-fly list should be allowed to purchase guns?
I think that the premise of that list, that there has to be a way to discuss how to discuss the due process for those people. When you're on there, how you're going to fight it. Because you're kind of held at gunpoint by the government at that point.
Here's the second question. Do you think that anybody should be able to purchase a gun in America?
I don't think that anyone. I think that we should have the conversation about that list, who goes on it.
List, do you think, yes or no, do you think that anybody that wants to should be able to purchase a gun in America, yes or no?
By Second Amendment, yes.
Okay. Okay.
There has to be the reasonable exceptions there with that list, and that needs to be discussed and hammered out.
Right. I agree with that. Do I believe that anybody should be able to purchase guns in America? And I love the Second Amendment. No. Do I want, and we both are well-versed in the mental health industry. Do I want some of those people that were in the programs that we worked in to be able to use their monthly stipends?
Yeah, that's why I said within reason. We've seen the shows. There have been news stories about blind people talking about their Second Amendment right. We can't. Come on. You know, in light of the Orlando shooting, isn't there some, you know, low hanging fruit liberal talk show host who couldn't have dug up one of those blind people and brought them on there and just had them on for like a half-hour segment to talk about the Second Amendment just to make people look stupid? Oh, that would have been epic. That would have been epic. I should do that. I should go look for those people and set that up.
Right.
Well, look. So again, back to Miss Lynch. Look, when a group decides to throw gays off of buildings or espouse to the ideology of women being imprisoned for being raped, you get raped and you get to go to jail. That does not deserve compassion. Again, there was none of that when anyone was being thrown out, when people were leaping out of fiery windows or anything.
Right.
Righteousness, righteous indignation, frustration, anger, those are responses to a terrorist attack, not compassion.
Right.
It sounds like a cracked out flower child response. But moving on.
Right.
I mean, they just really set her up with that. I mean, you're an attorney. You're a smart woman. You know better than that. I do not believe, other than the fact that someone gave her that to say, that would ever came out of her mouth under any normal circumstances. I refuse to believe that. But moving on. Republicans wanted a presidential Donald Trump, and presidential they got. The way he lit into Hillary this week, you would have thought she had proposed banning spray tans in America. He called her a world-class liar who wanted to bring slavery to America because she supports governments that participate in it. Yes. And if he's this angry in June, I'd like to see her propose banning hairspray to save the ozone. Talk about crackerjack material.
Right,
now,
right.
Hillary went on a rampage about Donald Trump's business record. But, Patrice, it is a known fact that Donald Trump and his entire family are hard workers. There's physical evidence all over New York City, all over the world for that matter. Scotland, just just this week. What has Hillary and her daughter accomplished? What is Chelsea an expert at in life other than a life of corruption and Jew dick? That is not a rhetorical question. So when Hillary mentioned Donald Trump's inability to run a national economy, Trump's response was, well, how can you run an economy when you can't even send an email without risking national security? Ooh, yes. And the way that I feel about Donald Trump is in the words of Nene Leakes. When Sheree talked about her having her car repossessed and college and whatnot, she said, don't tell me about what has been. Tell me about what's going on now. That is the measure of success. Whether at the end of it all, whether or not you're standing as a business or a person, and Donald Trump clearly is still standing. So that's my take. But those two shot some pretty bad barbs at each other. Like Hillary mentioning that Donald Trump always talks about his business record, but he's written many books on business. They all seem to stop at chapter 11.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
So yeah, what is your take on this? I mean, this was a teleprompter speech for Trump, so I mean he was able to stay on message. I was just happy that he was really able to dig in and hammer in on her record because people don't know. I mean, she has a lot of stuff in there, and these were some new talking points that have not come up in this election cycle at all.
Yeah, I like politics, and when it gets, it's getting down to the wire, so you're going to see more of the personal attacks and things like that. And since with the poor behavior of the Republicans during the primary, as far as how I'll never forget that crazy debate where they were talking about penis size. I just couldn't. It was unbelievable. And so they have set the tone for this type of they set the tone for this type of campaign to be run. And as a result, you're probably going to see much more of this. You're probably going to see much more of this. You're probably going to see much more of this as the campaign goes on. And it's going to get uglier because we as American people have allowed it. We say that, hey, we don't care about the real issues. We want the reality TV type of campaign, and so we're getting pretty much what we've asked for.
And another point to make is that going into the general election, he has about $1 million in his campaign readily available, even though I think a week ago or a few days ago they said that, they had just raised like $5 million just as quickly as that had been reported. So, I mean, it's true or not, compared to her $40 million. And so,
right.
Of course, everyone was saying how...
That Trump so poor hashtag, just foolishness as far as,
Trump's. Oh, yeah. Like anyone believes that. That's as believable as Hillary being dead broke, leaving the White House and buying
right.
2 homes in the $1.4 million loan from Terry McAuliffe to buy a house while being
right.
dead broke. Yeah. But do you think that it's that bad? I mean, for him to have that $1 million, because keep in mind, she used it was over $100 million to fend off Bernie Sanders, and
she's been fundraising much longer than Trump.
And correction, that was 200. She spent about $220 million against one person, Bernie Sanders, and Trump took out 16 people with 50 or so million.
Right.
So
right.
The fact that he has the one, he's cutting it close in the eyes of donors, which is why he's starting to clean up the mess stuff. We're very proud of his behavior this week. The Brexit was it's just he lucked up on that. That was really one. If that went the other way, that would have not been good for him at all.
Exactly.
But he's the man. He's got the gold fingers. But I think that he could possibly do it. But he just donors are just nervous. He always has people nervous. He seems to always come through in some kind of way. He has that uncanny ability, but $1 million, Donald. So,
right, you need some money to go against this machine because she has, media backing and things like that. But, if I was Hillary, I wouldn't do the personal attack. And the reason I wouldn't is because
she said she was not going to. She specifically said that she would be going after him on policy, and it's been nothing but personal stuff all the way up until now. And I'm saying this particular speech that she did, that one where she had mentioned, I guess, folks not being paid or whatever with him, which debatable,
right.
With business records, companies closing, etc. That's a lot. And we've seen how he handled Trump University. You don't want to really go and be digging those little things apart, spending your media time on that. But she hammered down kind of on business, and that's why he dug at her pretty hard over her State Department record. So I think that they're both they had a pretty mature week in comparison.
Right.
That is.
But
I'm
thinking that her advisors are telling her, in order to attract non-traditional voters or your youth voters, you have to kind of bring it,
Mm-hmm.
because Trump is going to be inflammatory and he's going to say what's on his mind. And
now, that first statement that I mentioned about the slavery, she has taken money from nations that that's what they do over there, and these were things that he pointed out, such as the $25 million from Saudi Arabia, where they kill gays. That is a fact. It's pretty hard for you. Didn't we just talk about Trump talking about being a champion of the gays? Well, for Hillary, it's hard for you to say you're going to be a champion of a group when you've taken money from a government that kills them.
Right, but not only that. With the money that she's taking from the private prison industry. Like, they've given her a lot of money and always have, because like I said, she's been raising money for a long time. So there are a lot of questionable groups, because I remember even like a local group that worked with youth took their youth to New York to protest Hillary in the previous campaign because she was accepting money for that Grand Theft Auto game. You know, from the creators of that game. And they shut it down until she had to like literally give them their money back or renounce her relationship with them because of you know, just how serious it was. She was holding private fundraisers with them in New York. So they took the children. You're familiar with the group. I'm sure you know the group. I don't want to say their names.
Sure, yes. and I've been having these conversations, these pretty stark debates with the head of the D.C. Young Democrats. I don't know why this man has gotten under my skin lately. Maybe just because I know that, you know, their comments and remarks influence votes. And he's really not taking me on too much. You know, I'll say a little something and it's like, okay.
You know who that is, right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay,
I do.
I'm not going to say who he is.
Yeah, but and I know. And I'm like, I guess he's like, okay, Vonnie, you got it. Okay. I mean, because he was mentioning about Hillary and her baggage. I know she's got just baggage, you know, but Donald Trump, you know, he switches, you know, he lies, etc. I said, oh, he lies. And when we discussed what he lies about, all that you all can come up with is about what he's worth. Really? So that's the biggest problem. But it's been documented that she has flipped on practically every issue, period. You know, since 2008 or before. Or hold on, Donald Trump mentioned about, remember Brian Williams when he lost his job over the journalist for claiming that his plane was attacked, you know, with gunfire years ago?
I remember that.
Yeah, and he said that, you know, Hillary lied about being under sniper fire. Did you hear about that?
No.
There's a story about her, was it Baghdad? No, I think it was somewhere else, where she said that we got to the tarmac and we had to run to the car from the plane to the car because we were under sniper fire. And she told that story at least 10 times, and it's documented. And then one day she was called out on it because the video footage was there. It's like, oh, sniper fire. Well, it wasn't so bad that you were able to hug children. And then she said, oh, I was jet lagged, you know, when I told that story. And, you know, she had her dates or whatever confused. And they said, well, hey, there's a child here. She said it was still an urgent situation. There was a child there, so I decided to hug the child. And then the video footage showed that, oh, there were lots of children, and Hillary spent about 20 minutes hugging and speaking to children. And he said, yeah, Brian Williams could lose his job for lying about a plane being shot down, but you can tell just as bad of a lie, and look, nothing. I mean, that's serious.
Right.
And that is not baggage. You know, that is the behavior of a serial liar. And that's what I was telling him. That is a big difference. That's not baggage.
Did you see what she did to the D.C. delegates? She selected her own.
Yes. And the council member here, the reason why I found out about it, you know, or who's now out of office, I still like her, Misty Beth Alexander. She tweeted, I have tweet notifications set up for like almost the whole council, so I don't miss anything. It came across my phone. I saw her objecting to Hillary. She said, I don't like that we weren't able to pick our own delegates. And I went, retweet. I said, hashtag Dem corruption, CC at the Democrats. Yes, even your own party is against you on this one.
Yeah, the chairman of the city council can't even go.
No respect for the, you know, this is one of the instances where I will agree about the city being disenfranchised. That was absolutely ridiculous. Right.
They allowed Michael Eric Dyson to go. Isn't that a treat?
Oh, what a treat indeed.
And
that's gonna be awesome.
I don't know if you remember the Rita lady that ran for mayor.
Why? Why is she going?
She's one of the delegates too.
Why is she delegate? I don't understand.
She's a friend of the family. I mean, she used to work for them and still has a relationship.
As I said, I hadn't really gone beyond, seeing that, the council member's objection. I know that it has to be serious, considering the fact that she, of all people, was objecting. So,
right.
Hey. Anyway, moving on. Singer Demi Lovato, best known for being on the Disney Channel and being a cow by Hollywood standards, decided to take all the years of fat shaming she's received and directed it at Mariah Carey. She did a side-by-side pic of Mariah and Ariana Grande, captioned it with "when you order it online versus when it arrives," hinting that Ariana was the better singer, and added, "You got it the wrong way around, honey." Well, Mariah, being the diva that she is, she didn't have to say a word. She just let her fans take care of her. And then Demi started complaining about people bullying her and announced quitting Twitter and was back in under 24 hours. Of course, nobody ever leaves Twitter. I absolutely hate people like that. You're going to be a bully, own up to it. When was the last time you saw Donald Trump back down for something?
She attacked Mariah.
Yes, she initiated this. For what reason?
Mm-hmm.
Her justification, she said, and again, nothing was said to her. She just said that, Mariah deserved it because she's been so mean to J-Lo over the years, and said that J-Lo didn't deserve it. If you don't remember, those two have like a almost 20-year silent feud going on, which is kind of one-sided. When she divorced Tommy Mottola brought in J-Lo, and it's been well documented that a lot of music from her, like the 2000 era, he just gave to her. Like there were samples that were reserved, and he just gave them to J-Lo. And so that big 99 hit that she had, a lot of that stuff was Mariah's work. It would have been Mariah's work. And that's what began the process of her breakdown. She felt like everybody was working against her. And it was true.
Right.
And when she worked herself to death to kind of overcome all of that, so she's never forgiven J-Lo for it. She's never really directed anything at her. I mean, do you really expect, like, anything, Court? J-Lo knows the deal. She knows not to mess with her. Mariah doesn't speak to her. That's it. You get a little shade every now and then. And what started all of this, it's like back in 2003 or something, it's this famous video where they asked Mariah, they said, "What do you think of Beyonce?" And she said, "Oh, she's sweet. She's wonderful. I think she's very talented." And they said, "What about Jennifer Lopez?" And she shook her head smiling. She said, "I don't know her." It was like the most famous thing ever, that I don't know her. And she just explained it again, because it's dogged her for all these years, to Andy Cohen. They were like, "What is this about you and J-Lo?" She said, "It's nothing." She said, "I didn't know her. Like, I've met Beyonce. We've been around each other, etc." She said, "I did not know her. What do you want me to say? Like, did you not like the words of how I put it?" She said, "I didn't know the woman." So the fans have really been pushing this over the years because she's only addressed her a couple times.
Right. So, okay.
So,
What's the thing that you have to know who J-Lo is? Like, sheesh.
I mean, and it's been like
we know J-Lo's backstory, and we know Mariah's backstory.
It's like wait a minute now. Okay. I'm reserved that for later. But like they acted like it's been the war of the century, and so then when she deleted her account, or she said she was leaving, she said the reason was because people were bullying her.
What?
Yes, Demi Lovato said she was being bullied. Yeah, after you initiated the bullying. Come on now.
This is the one that Timbaland used to produce?
Ooh, I don't know. I'll say this. Last time I heard of Demi Lovato, she was performing outside of the VMAs, not inside, outside, as accompaniment to was it white girl rapper named Iggy Azalea. So just when you decide to lodge attacks at people, you don't do it at people who are arguably or factually more talented than you or successful than you in every measure of their career. Mariah's just not a good not a good target.
Well, you're kind of partial, Vonnie, because I know how you feel about Mariah Carey.
Oh, I'll say this. A friend of mine who was working on the Ed Lover show, I can't think of her name, Sarah O'Connor. I had just, we were talking about this in DMs this morning. She told me years ago that music is subjective. And, like, it's kind of pointless to really argue about it. I mean, unless someone's, like, you know, just extremely, extraordinarily more talented than someone else or more successful,
right,
which is a fact. You know, it's like comparing Whitney to Miley Cyrus. You know, that's clear and understandable. But, like, music's subjective, so it's no point to it. I'm a fan, but, I mean, I have asked years ago, I asked her, I said, nobody really, the media doesn't pick on Mariah, like when she has bad performances or whatever. This is a couple years ago before they kind of got a little tougher. But I said, people, they don't give her a hard time. And she said, yeah, but she said, because she's respected. She said that she, you know, had a long career. You don't do that.
And there's no question. And there's no question of her ability to sing.
You get up and bomb. If you get up and just bomb, and it can't be avoided, then that is a different story. You know, but
we all know. I mean, there's no question about her ability to sing. Mariah's.
Well, thank you for saying that, because, you know, we argue this all on Breitbart yesterday with Sonny Johnson. I almost had a stroke.
I remember when Mariah first came out with I think she had the greatest range as far as voice. I forgot how many octaves she could sing.
Possibly, I think that she's reported as between 5 and 7. It's like 5, and she's like, she's always like, I don't know, you know, who measured that, because I feel like I'm like 2 on a good day.
Right. But, and then, you know, they were comparing her to Aretha Franklin, because that's the only other person that, you know, popular R&B type singer that had a range that vast.
Well, there was Whitney. You know,
but she was Whitney able to go? No, you remember when Mariah used to go all the way, you know, to her highest range.
Yeah, the whistle register. But with Whitney, I grew up in the 90s, and so I had only heard Whitney in the 90s, and you know, waiting, exhale, and boom, the woman can sing. It was not a question. You know, the woman had a great voice, great range, but I did not listen to her in the 80s until, like, you know, far later in life, and I heard. You know, of course, your voice changes over the years, and I said, wow, like, the woman really had range. Like, I thought the 90s range was something. You know, the early drug range was was pretty good. You know, but the 80s was really something. You know, Mariah came out, her early days were kind of rivaling Whitney's heyday, which, you know, it was a long friggin' time ago. It was like 30 years ago. Those notes, folks don't remember.
Everything changed when she married Tommy.
Yeah.
When she
a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen around Tommy Mottola. Michael Jackson, when he said, you know, how much he was a crook, and that was the end of him. His reputation was done after that. You know, as far as just what I said about the levels, that's what Demi doesn't get. There are levels to this, okay?
Right.
You don't mess with people who have mafia ties, which is what, because Mariah's been cited as meeting with mafia people before. At least one documented person, whether she knew it or not, like 11 years or so ago. Because he was in, you know, Mottola had his mafia guy. She said she would say certain words on the phone and people would enter the room at home. But anyway, yes, when she lived I mean, when they were in a mansion, you probably had staff or whatever. The people were probably sitting around listening to the phone for whatever godforsaken reason. But
yeah, that was just a whole wild scenario.
Yes, but Demi, there are levels to this, and yeah, the whole crime.
I'm trying to figure out if this is the girl that Timbaland used to produce.
I don't know. I mean,
listen to the weird sounds in her songs.
No, that was Nelly Furtado. I'm pretty sure that was.
Aren't you
similar names?
They all sound alike.
You know, look, being a younger artist, you were trying to find your relevance, and you should be spending your time focusing on your career and your craft, and not knocking down accomplished people. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, your biggest thing recently is being behind Iggy outside. So yeah, when you start performing inside of the building, maybe you can have something to say. Anyway,
we talk about that. Like we talk about that New York Fashion Week too. Are you in the Lincoln Center or are you in the tents?
Oh, okay, absolutely. Yeah, there's a difference now.
Right.
There's a clear, because I asked people that. I almost got connected with someone who was going around saying that they were New York Fashion Week. It was one of the side ones.
Right.
Yeah, don't play. Don't play. Now, Patrice, my favorite musical degenerate, Chris Brown, he's in the news again for something other than his music, of course, as usual. A former manager of his, tasked with fixing his image after beating the crap out of his then girlfriend Rihanna, is now accusing him of beating the crap out of him. Without even fact-checking this, anytime Chris Brown's accused of doing something, it is a strong likelihood he actually did it. But with that being said, Chris, in the event that you find yourself having some type of anger or pent-up frustration and you feel the need to go beat up on something, I can be found at www.popglitz.com. Anyway, so Patrice, true or not, do you think that Chris, I think you might have missed that one, true or not, do you think, will Chris be getting himself together sometime soon? Because I'm really getting tired of these stories with him.
Me too. And I don't know if I believe it. Did the person press charges?
He did. He did do a suit. And Chris Brown went on Instagram afterwards, and I'm going to apologize in advance for the profanity. He said I knew some shit was coming. He said, now I can throw some shit if I wanted to. I can throw some donkey shit, camel shit even, but I'm not. Like, that was so immature.
So what?
That was like his response. I guess that was his formal statement. Yeah, in regards to the allegations, he said that he fired the guy for he was stealing money from him. You know, I'll say this: his image was so bad. If the guy could fix it and skim a little off the top, let him do it, because his image still is shit. What is that, like my fifth bell that you missed?
Ding, ding. I still, if he hasn't been arrested, I don't believe the manager.
You say you don't believe the manager if he hasn't been arrested?
If he hasn't been arrested or hasn't pressed charges.
Yeah, I know it's a suit. I don't know specifically the type of suit because I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, everything lodged against him isn't going to be true, even though he's been known to beat men, women, and children.
Right.
Well, not children, gays, but he's pretty much gotten all the demographics covered. This is the thing that amazes me about him. You know, Kevin Gates has actually been filmed punching women in the face on stage.
Right.
He has been filmed kicking people in the face on stage, and still is considered a top rapper right now, or top 40, whatever.
Gucci Mane too. I saw a video of him punching a girl in the face on stage.
Dang, God! I mean, this is video evidence of this, and there was never any evidence of him doing that to Rihanna. And look at him. We're on year 7 of this, and he's never recovered, and he's still a woman beater. And I don't think anyone. I mean, Kevin Gates isn't on that level, but I mean, I don't know if he'll probably never be known as that. So I mean, I do agree that he's got, he has an uphill battle, but you did kind of bring it on yourself, sir.
Right. That's true. It's just funny, since he already has the charge, and since he's already had the charge for beating people, if he hit someone, I would think that person would report directly to the police. And then sue. Carry a police report to the lawyer and then sue. Wouldn't you think that would be what someone would do?
I think that, I mean, if he did it, it's the same thing with the Michelle Fields woman with Donald Trump's campaign manager. If someone attacked you, then you would pretty much, I think that the correct response would be to call the police first instead of calling your boss. Yeah, that never flushed well with me. And you call the police days later.
Right.
But you had the time to Instagram the bruise on your wrist first. Well,
right.
Hey, when you have a book to sell, which no one talks about.
Right.
No one has interviewed her about her book, but that whole ordeal, no one cares about a damn book. That's
right. And then the thing is, it just again reflects the values of the American people. Can I monetize off of this AW that I got? Can I monetize off of it? If I can, let me do it this way instead of going to the police. Somebody hits you, and I want women to hear this especially. If you were assaulted or if you feel threatened, you, number one, remove yourself from the situation. Number two, you call the police because you're not supposed to be hit.
I'll say this. If I was on his team and given his record, when he looked like he was going to buck me, I'd probably give him his warning. Think about your career, because I say this to my friends all the time. Just think about your career. And when that hit came, I would have acted like that bus driver before he uppercut that girl. You go to jail today.
Right.
I probably would save my counterpunch and just enjoy the check afterwards. Hey, because you hit me. Anyway, moving on, and this is lastly for one of my favorite topics: what not to do on social media.
Lord have mercy.
3 men in Miami, millennials of course, stole over $500,000 of jewelry, and what did they decide to do? Post video footage on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, and this wasn't one of those situations of the cloud uploading it by accident. No. These morons actually did it themselves, on purpose. I've seen people win the lottery for less and not tell anyone or go into hiding. So the fact that you would steal a whole $500,000 and just post it online like it's a video of you brushing your teeth.
Right.
That's sad. And look, I see why so many people go online talking about bringing back slavery. Because anyone who is that stupid, like $500,000, you just got away with $500,000. And if they never posted it online, they just might have gone scot-free.
Exactly.
That's all you were good for. Spending your life 8 hours a day, and you carry their asses over the line into Alabama, and then spend the rest of their days picking unprocessed ass cotton. Can you imagine $500,000 and putting it online?
That's crazy.
A lot of millennials tend to do this type of stuff. They document breaking the law every day.
Right.
Can you explain this type of mentality? Because the feds and especially the IRS have already stated that they are watching people on social media. Like, that's already been publicly noted. Oh, you want to claim that you don't have such and such? Oh, you were so broke this year. Oh, but your Facebook said differently. Yeah, and that's what they're using against people these days.
I'm a parent of a millennial, as you know, and they tend to, in that age group, do crazy things. But, you know, as a parent, I tell my son, you know, what you do, you represent your God, your family, yourself, and your community. So you need to think about these things before you make decisions about what you post on social media and just in the decisions you make in everyday life. For them to do something that's stupid, it's clear to me that there's probably an issue in the parenting piece. I don't know what it is about social media and these stories that people try to create, or these personas that people try to create for themselves as if it's going to give their lives substance. But because of the prevalence of the social media and how much people rely on it, that, you know, people no longer want facts. They just want the popularity. I mean, even with, I can take it back to the sit-in, you know. They didn't want to deal with the facts. They just wanted to deal with the fact that somebody was doing civil disobedience. So that's what made what they were doing right, even if the issue or the way they were addressing the issue at hand was totally off base. You know, so if our 100%. Congressional leaders are doing it, I mean, like, a couple kids, why should we be surprised that they would be that stupid?
Yeah, I mean, generally people like to show themselves in the best light. It's one thing. I mean, you know, the flossing is one thing. You know, putting on the best thing in your closet is one thing. But yeah, there's nothing positive in this. I mean, I just a week or so ago, someone had been bashing me in politics, and, you know, they had their warning. I'm like, you know, you want to talk about my political opinion, you know, all my stuff is out there publicly, and I acknowledge this. And, right. You know, your stuff is public as well, you know, because it's one thing when you set, like, Facebook privacy to be out in the public. So this person goes and mentions that they were committing $4,000 a month in disability fraud. Wow. You know, and while it was public knowledge that they worked for it wasn't the State Department, it was, I don't remember.
FEMA, like a FEMA or something like that.
Treasury. U.S. Treasury employee. Yes, yeah. Wow. Oh, wow. And my thing, okay, why would you put that out there? Okay, that, you know, that can come back to get you. I mean, still to this day, they're elected officials. I tell them about what they post online. You know, at any given moment, I can go and search 5-year-old tweets, you know, from people sitting in office right now, you know, with the tweets of, you know, save a lollipop, suck a dick. You know, right. Sitting officials who tweet. Right. And we know these people. I just sent I just sent out something this morning to someone. I was like, you know, look at this. This person was working for Team Marion Barry, and they were tweeting to Todd Kincannon. You know who he is? Yes. Love him. One of the best attorneys and the craziest personalities ever. Yeah, the same person tweets to him, you look like you've been taking, you know, 10 penises in a swing.
Oh, my gosh. And I know Todd let him have it.
Yes. I just invited him to, he's going to be doing Sunday Johnson's show with me. So, yeah, that was why he came out. So, shout out to Todd. I can't wait for that.
Right.
But, yeah, stupid social media decisions. These things follow us. I mean, and there's no way, being a public figure, that there is anything positive in, you know, those officials doing that. I mean, these poor damn kids. But, you know, people are reckless in social media. I don't know if you remember, not long ago, the KKK said that they were going to be more diverse in their group. Imagine that. The KKK is inviting us Negroes.
Right.
And Kim Kardashian. posted a picture of her and her sisters, and it said, "The only KKK that has ever allowed black men in." And they were blasted for that.
Oh, of
Think
course
about
they
that.
would
That
be.
is ugly. That is just
horrible.
I mean, even if someone made it about them, that's still ugly. But the fact that they created that.
Wow. They got away with it.
Yes. I mean, so it's that culture. I mean, I feel like I'm not necessarily the best on social media, but I mean, God, I at least make sure that I don't, that there's no laws broken that's being bragged about in the process.
Exactly. That's just crazy. People are just begging for attention or that type of attention so much. And, I mean, I would like to see, and maybe the Department of Education should even consider it, or those that do education policy. A lot of high schools are talking about life skills and things like that being a prerequisite for graduation. We need to add a social media piece as well, since it is a huge form of communication, how to properly handle it, or to let the young people know, well, these are the types of things that happen. I had a daughter of a good friend who was in college and got an internship at IRS, and they let her know, during the pre-hiring event, hey, we've been on your social media. You want to be mindful of the things you say. Is this your name? And it wasn't. She didn't use her name. She, how the kids use those crazy,
Right.
those crazy
yes.
that represent themselves with 33,000 words. They just like, hey, we know it's you, and we just want to let you know. Be mindful of the things you do and say, because you're going to be working here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many years has social media been, in existence? And especially just the major part as far as the micro social media of Twitter and Facebook. So how many years is it going to take before the Department of Education even considers that? That's why I don't consider public school. That's why I don't support public schools, period. So I got from you. I mean, by the time they get around to discussing it, hey, we'll have like a destroyed generation, for the most part. I don't even hear candidates talking about that, and it's important because, I mean, these are mistakes and decisions that are going to be affecting them career-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know many a person who has gotten in trouble over social media, but yeah, that didn't get discussed in school. It's a shame. Now, before we go, I wanted to give a shout-out to a supporter of the show. He just so happened to tweet me right now so I could remember. He is currently going through chemo, and probably one of my favorite followers. And I asked him if I could use his name, or I was going to give him a shout out or repeat something he said, and I could use his name. He said, sure, you could use my name. He said, what was it? He said, to tell people, don't smoke cigarettes, suck on something else. So that's going to be our object lesson for the day. Anyway, yes, we love you.
I'm glad you have that sense of humor. Keep it. Keep it.
Yes, absolutely. I love him. Yes. Anyway, guys, this show has been brought to you by our parent company, BM3 Media, your source for all your communication and media needs. I would like to thank our guest, Patrice Lancaster, for coming back again. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. My pleasure, as usual. And make sure that you lost our place. For the latest in celebrity news, go to PopGlitz.com. All right.
Because PopGlitz is popping.